Somewhere along the shore of the Dead Sea, the ground just opened up. No warning, no rumble, no crack in the surface, just gone. A hole where solid ground was standing 1 second before. This has been happening hundreds of times a year along the Dead Sea shoreline. Hotels abandoned overnight, roads splitting open without warning, palm trees disappearing into the earth. And the reason it is happening is the same reason the Dead Sea itself is disappearing. 1 meter every single year. The Dead Sea is the saltiest large body of water on Earth. It sits 430 meters below sea level, the lowest point on the surface of this planet. And it is dying, shrinking, retreating, leaving behind something nobody expected, and something far more dangerous than a disappearing lake. Most people know the Dead Sea is the place where you float without swimming. What most people do not know is what is happening beneath that still surface, beneath that salt flat shoreline, and beneath the ground surrounding it right now. There are over 6,000 sinkholes along the Dead Sea shoreline right now, more appearing every single day. Some of them meters wide, some of them the size of buildings. All of them appeared without warning, and the process creating them is accelerating. In this video, we go inside what is happening to the Dead Sea, why it is disappearing, what the sinkholes actually are, what is living in it that should not be able to, and what the world loses when it is finally gone. The Dead Sea sits in the Jordan Rift Valley, a geological fault line running between Jordan to the east and Israel and the West Bank to the west. At 430 meters below sea level, it is the lowest point on the surface of the Earth. There is nowhere lower on dry land anywhere on this planet. 430 meters below sea level. To put that in perspective, if you stood at the Dead Sea shore and looked up, the surface of the Mediterranean Sea would be 430 meters above your head. You are standing in the deepest natural depression on the surface of this planet. The Dead Sea has a salinity of approximately 34%, nearly 10 times saltier than the average ocean. That concentration is so extreme that the human body cannot sink in it. The density of the water is greater than the density of the human body. You float whether you want to or not. It is the same principle as the brine pools at the bottom of the ocean. Extreme salinity creating extreme density. The salt concentration is so extreme that minerals crystallize directly out of the water, forming salt crystal formations along the shoreline and on any surface the water touches. Rocks become encrusted. Shoreline features become salt sculptures. The entire environment is being slowly transformed by the chemistry of the water itself. For thousands of years, the Dead Sea has been one of the most significant bodies of water in human history. Referenced in ancient texts, visited by millions, mined for its minerals, used for its therapeutic properties, a place where civilizations have stood at the shore for millennia. And it is disappearing, faster than almost anyone realizes. The Dead Sea has only one significant water source, the Jordan River flowing in from the north. And the Jordan River has been reduced to approximately 4% of its historical flow rate. Not 40%, not 14%, 4%. The river that has fed the Dead Sea for thousands of years is now barely a trickle compared to what it once was. The Jordan River has been diverted, dammed, and extracted by Israel, Jordan, and Syria for decades. For drinking water, for agriculture, for industry. By the time it reaches the Dead Sea, almost nothing is left. What was once a significant river delivering billions of cubic meters annually now delivers approximately 30 million cubic meters. The Dead Sea is evaporating faster than it is being refilled. The evidence is written directly into the landscape. The old shoreline, the level the Dead Sea sat at decades ago, is visible as a distinct geological line in the rock faces surrounding the lake. The distance between that old shoreline and where the water sits today is measured in hundreds of meters. Lakebed that was underwater within living memory is now dry, cracked, white salt flat, open to the desert sky. Since 1930, the Dead Sea has lost approximately 30 meters of water level. It is currently dropping at over 1 meter per year, and that rate is not slowing. At current trends, the Dead Sea could lose another third of its volume within the coming decades. The question is not whether it will continue to shrink. The question is what it leaves behind as it goes. The Jordan River diversion is not the only cause. Industrial mineral extraction operations at the southern end of the Dead Sea pump enormous volumes of water into evaporation ponds to extract potash, a valuable fertilizer mineral. That water evaporates and is never returned to the lake. The industrial operations are profitable. The lake is paying the price. As the Dead Sea retreats, it leaves behind something far more dangerous than a disappearing lake. Beneath the entire shoreline, thick layers of ancient salt deposits sit underground, left behind by thousands of years of the Dead Sea's history. As the Dead Sea retreats and the water table drops, fresh groundwater flows sideways through these underground layers, reaching the ancient salt deposits and dissolving them from within. A cavity forms underground, growing silently, invisibly, giving no signal whatsoever to the surface above it. Then the surface collapses. No warning, no sound, no crack. The ground simply opens, sometimes in seconds. A beach where tourists were swimming the day before. A road used that morning. A resort garden that looked completely solid. Gone. Entire resort complexes have been abandoned, not because the buildings failed, but because the ground around them became too dangerous to stand on. There are over 6,000 documented sinkholes along the Dead Sea shoreline right now, with hundreds more appearing every year. The entire western shoreline has become a geological hazard zone. As the Dead Sea retreats, it leaves behind something nobody expected, one of the most visually extraordinary landscapes on Earth. The supersaturated brine deposits its minerals as it evaporates. Salt crystals growing directly from the water surface and the exposed lakebed in real time. Visible formations appearing within days on newly exposed surfaces. The most dramatic formations are the salt pillars, columns of crystallized salt growing upward from the lakebed in shallow areas where evaporation is most intense. Some reaching over 1 meter tall. Pure mineral, deposited grain by grain over years of continuous evaporation. They look like something from another planet. They are made entirely from the mineral content of the Dead Sea water, and they are growing right now, in real time, as the lake continues to retreat. The exposed lakebed left behind is one of the most otherworldly landscapes on Earth. A perfectly flat, white salt crust, cracked into geometric polygons, stretching for kilometers. The floor of a lake that was underwater within living memory. From above, it looks like the surface of another planet. Scientists studying extreme environments have used the Dead Sea salt flat as an analog for conditions on Mars. The same mineral chemistry, the same crystallization patterns, the same absence of conventional life. The same minerals being deposited as the lake retreats are worth billions annually. Dead Sea mineral products sold worldwide for skincare, health, and therapeutic use. The lake is being mined even as it disappears. There is a painful irony in all of this. The Dead Sea has never looked more extraordinary than it does right now, as it disappears. The retreating water is creating the most dramatic salt landscapes in the lake's entire history. Beauty born directly from loss. The Dead Sea is named for an obvious reason. Nothing is supposed to live in it. The salt concentration is nearly 10 times that of the average ocean. So extreme, it is lethal to virtually every form of life. No fish, no plants, no conventional marine organisms of any kind. But in 1936, microbiologists discovered something nobody expected. The Dead Sea contains thriving communities of halophilic microorganisms. Organisms that not only tolerate extreme salt, but actually require it to survive. During wet years, when rainfall dilutes the surface layer slightly, the entire Dead Sea turns red. A mass bloom of halophilic algae called Dunaliella transforms the surface from deep blue to vivid pink and red. The deadest lake on Earth, turning red with life. It happened in 1980, again in 1992, again in 1995. The same lake that kills everything that enters it, turning vivid red with life when conditions briefly allow. One of the most striking natural phenomena in the entire region. Scientists studying Dead Sea extremophiles have found enzymes that remain stable at salt concentrations that destroy any normal enzyme immediately. Those enzymes have applications in industrial processes and medical research that are only beginning to be understood. Researchers continue studying Dead Sea extremophiles actively, knowing that the biology surviving in these conditions holds answers to questions about life in extreme environments that go far beyond this lake. The Dead Sea looks dead. It is not. It is one of the most biochemically unique environments on Earth, hiding life that defies every assumption we have ever made about what conditions biology requires to survive. At current rates, researchers project the Dead Sea could lose another third of its volume within 50 years. The northern and southern basins potentially separating into two disconnected remnants of what was once one extraordinary lake. The southern basin is already gone as a natural lake, converted into industrial evaporation ponds. That is one possible future for the entire Dead Sea. Not a natural death, an industrial transformation. The Dead Sea sits at the intersection of some of the most water-stressed countries on Earth: Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian territories, all sharing the same dying river basin. This is not just an environmental story, it is a geopolitical one. There is a proposed solution, a canal bringing water from the Red Sea northward to refill the Dead Sea. The engineering is feasible. The project has been discussed for decades between Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority. The politics have never aligned long enough to build it. The water that was here when these structures were built is now hundreds of meters away. The lake retreated. The buildings stayed. The salt flat between them is the measure of everything that has been lost. The Dead Sea is not the only lake disappearing in our lifetime. The Aral Sea in Central Asia, once the fourth largest lake on Earth, has lost over 90% of its volume in 50 years. Its fishing boats still sit on what is now desert. The pattern is global. The cause is always the same. Human water use outpacing natural replenishment. Every time, every lake. The question is never whether the science is clear. The question is always whether the decision to act comes before or after the point of no return. Even as it disappears, the Dead Sea keeps doing what it has always done, depositing its minerals, forming its crystals, sustaining its extremophiles. The chemistry does not stop. The lake just gets smaller, 1 meter at a time. The Dead Sea has been here for 3 million years. Civilizations have risen and fallen on its shores. Prophets have stood at its edge. Armies have marched past it. And in the span of a single human lifetime, we have reduced its only water source to 4% of its historical flow. That child standing at the shore is looking at a lake that was full within their grandparents' lifetime. The shoreline they are standing on was underwater within living memory. What they see as normal, this reduced, retreating lake, was already a crisis before they were born. The Dead Sea is not dead yet. It is still one of the most extraordinary environments on Earth, the lowest point on the planet, the saltiest large lake in the world, home to biology that exists nowhere else. But the sinkholes are multiplying. The shoreline is retreating. The water level is dropping. The question is not whether the Dead Sea will continue to change. The question is whether we decide that its survival matters before the answer becomes irrelevant. Every morning for 3 million years, this lake has reflected the sunrise. It was here before us. The question is whether it will be here after us, or whether we will be the first civilization in its entire history to watch it disappear completely. This is mysterious nature, and this is just the surface.